5 people were glaring at me across a conference table like I'd lit their house on fire. The closing was supposed to take 9 minutes. I had a manila folder in my lap that was about to end it instead. And the woman who handed it to me wasn't even in the room. My name is Maya Ellison. I was 29, and that folder was the only thing standing between my grandmother and losing the only home she had left. If you enjoy real-life family drama and emotional stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to Quiet Drama Stories, because what happened in that conference room started 9 days earlier, with a birthday cake nobody ate. My grandmother, June Ellison, Gigi, to me, turned 80 that October. She'd been baking the same vanilla cake with buttercream roses since before my father was born, and that year she baked it for herself, because she still believed her family was coming. She set the table for 6 cloth napkins, wedding china she only brought out twice a year, mums from her own garden in a mason jar at the center. Nobody came. My parents were in Charleston for a golf trip my mother had been posting about for a week. My brother Brett sent a text at 6:40 p.m. Happy B-Day Gigi. Love you. From a brewery patio, judging by the photo behind it. I found out at 7 p.m. on my drive home from my paralegal job in Columbus, when my cousin texted me a single line. Did anyone go see Gigi today? I turned my car around on Route 33 and drove 55 minutes to Belmont without stopping. When I walked into that kitchen, the candles had melted into the frosting. The ice cream had gone soft in its carton on the counter. And Gigi was sitting at the head of the table in her cardigan, hands folded, looking at the door like she still expected it to open. "Oh, Maya," she said. And her whole face changed. "Is it my birthday?" "It's your birthday, Gigi." She touched the cake like she wasn't sure it was real. "I thought this was for the church sale." We ate it with our hands. I sang to her twice, because halfway through the first time, she forgot it had started. When I tucked her into bed that night, she grabbed my wrist with a grip that didn't match the rest of her. "They think I don't notice," she whispered. Her eyes, for just a second, were sharp as glass. Then she was asleep, and I lay awake in the guest room, the one with the water stain on the ceiling shaped like Florida, that I'd been staring at since I was 7, wondering what exactly she thought nobody noticed. I didn't have to wonder long. The next morning, while I was scrubbing buttercream off the good plates, 2 cars pulled into the gravel driveway. A woman in her late 50s got out first. Silver bob, wool coat, the kind of posture you only get from 40 years of being underestimated and proving people wrong. A younger man followed her, carrying a small zippered case. "Maya Ellison?" she asked. "My name is Margaret Doyle. I'm an attorney. This is my associate, Sam Reyes." She held out a manila folder. It was sealed with tape, and across the seal, in handwriting I would have recognized anywhere, the same loops Gigi used to sign my birthday cards, was one sentence. "Open this when they come for the house." "Your grandmother retained our office 14 months ago," Margaret said. "She asked us to deliver this to you personally, when the time came." When the time came for what? She glanced through the screen door, toward the kitchen, where Gigi was humming to herself over a crossword puzzle. Margaret's voice softened by exactly 1 degree. "Don't discuss this with your parents before we talk," she said. "Call my office today." They were back in their car before I found the words for a second question. I sat down on the porch steps with that folder in my lap, and for a long moment, I just stared at my own name on the tab. Then my phone buzzed. A text from my mother, Carol. "Who came by the house? Don't sign anything." I turned the phone face down on the step beside me, and I broke the seal. The documents inside were ones I recognized from my own job. I typed dozens just like them for clients at the elder law firm where I worked. A recorded deed, a revocable trust, a durable power of attorney, a physician's letter on hospital letterhead, dated 14 months earlier. Clipped to the front, a handwritten note on Gigi's stationery. "Maya, I know what's coming before any of you do. Everything you need is in here. I'm sorry it has to be you. I love you, Gigi." I read it 3 times. Each time, one detail landed harder. She'd known, 14 months ago, before the forgetting got bad, before she started calling me by my mother's name, before she got lost driving 2 blocks to the seeds. She had already known someone would come for this house, and she had prepared for it like a woman building a levee before the flood. I called the number on Margaret's card before I'd even finished the second page. Margaret's office sat above a dry cleaner on Main Street, with a brass plaque that read, "Doyle and Associates, Elder Law." She poured me coffee and set a box of tissues on the table without a word, which told me she'd done this before. "Your grandmother came to me alone," she said. "August of last year. She'd gotten lost driving home from the pharmacy. Ended up 2 towns over. A neighbor brought her back, and the next morning she called me. Why you? Her friend Dorothy had used our firm for a trust. June walked in here in pressed slacks with a legal pad full of questions she'd written out herself. Margaret paused. She told me, word for word, my son will do whatever Carol tells him. And Carol will sell my house the second I can't stop her. She wanted to stop it before that day came. I felt my stomach drop somewhere through the floor. She didn't trust my dad? She didn't doubt your father loved her, Margaret said carefully. She doubted he'd be the one in the room when it mattered. She said you were the only one who'd fight for the house, because you were the only one who understood what it actually meant to her. She slid the trust document across the table. As of last August, the house isn't your grandmother's to sell anymore, not as an individual. It belongs to the June Ellison Revocable Living Trust. Your grandmother was trustee while she had capacity. The moment she's determined to have lost that capacity, who becomes trustee? Margaret looked at me over her glasses. You do. I didn't say anything to anyone yet. I went back to the house and I started looking, really looking, at things I'm port. I'd been walking past for weeks. Behind the hydrangea bushes, clamped to the gas meter, I found a realtor's combination lockbox, the kind you see on every for sale listing in Belmont. In the mail pile on the hallway table, buried under coupon flyers, I found a listing sheet on letterhead from Cole and Maddox Realty, 4 bedrooms, original hardwood, quarter-acre lot, $640,000, $50,000 under the most recent comp on the street. And in the kitchen junk drawer, under a stack of takeout menus, I found a purchase agreement. Buyer, Harborview Capital, LLC. Cash offer. 30-day close. The seller's line was blank, except for a name penciled in lightly underneath, like a rehearsal. J. Ellison. The agent on the listing was Renee Cole. Contact for the seller, listed right there in black ink, was my brother, Brett Ellison. I sat on that kitchen floor with the lockbox key still in my hand, and felt something in my chest go very, very still. She won't remember by Christmas, I called my mother that night. Oh Maya, sweetheart, Carol said, in the bright, managing voice she used on church volunteers. We had the best time in Charleston. There's a lockbox on Gigi's gas meter, Mom. Silence. 2 seconds. 3. That's being handled. Your father and Brett have been working with a lovely agent on a transition plan. You know she can't keep up a house like that alone. There's a signed purchase agreement in her kitchen drawer. Maya, the warmth dropped a register. This is a decision between your father, your brother, and me. We've been managing this for months. You don't need to worry about the details. Does she even know the house is being sold? She knows what she needs to know. A pause. The clink of a wine glass. Your brother's company is in real trouble. This house can fund a nice facility for your grandmother and pull Brett out of a hole. It's the responsible thing to do. Then she said the sentence I would hear in my sleep for the next 9 days. She won't remember the house by Christmas anyway. I sat with the phone against my ear for a long moment. Then it's a good thing, I said quietly, that I do. I hung up before she could answer. The closing was set for November 15th. Capital Title Services, downtown Belmont. 9 days away. Margaret laid out 2 options. Option 1. File an emergency petition in probate court. It would work eventually, but it would be slow, public, and it would give my family time to scramble, hide assets, get their own lawyer, move Gigi somewhere I couldn't reach her. Option 2. Show up at the closing table itself, with the real documents, and let the title company do what title companies are legally required to do when a deed is in dispute. It's the quiet option, Margaret said. No courtroom, just paper, in front of witnesses, at the exact moment it matters most. I thought about Gigi's note. Everything you need is here. Not go fight in court. Just be there, with the truth, when they try. Let's do the quiet option, I said. Over the next week, I filed a report with the state's Adult Protective Services hotline, describing a power of attorney signed during a hospital stay, a below-market sale, a son who stood to profit. The intake worker told me, gently, that mine wasn't the first call about this house. Someone had filed an anonymous complaint 6 weeks earlier, and never left a name. Never found out who. Somebody else had been watching, too scared to be seen, brave enough to dial the number anyway. My father showed up alone on day 4. In the old Buick nobody noticed. Not the one he drove to church. He stood in Gigi's kitchen, and told me he didn't want any of this. That Brett was in over his head. That Mom wouldn't want him to lose everything. You could still stop this, Dad, I told him. For 1 second, I saw the boy who grew up in that kitchen. Then his phone buzzed. Carol, He left without saying goodbye to his mother. On day 5, I bought a small cake from the bakery on Elm Street, and we did her birthday over. Just the two of us, with one candle instead of 80. Make a wish, I told her. She closed her eyes a long time before she blew it out. I wished you'd stay, she said. I will. She reached out and put her hand flat on the scratched maple table where we sat. The same table her own mother had carried up from Cincinnati on the back of a pickup in 1975. Don't let them take the table, she whispered. I won't, Gigi. The table stays. On the morning of the 15th, I put on the same blouse I'd worn. The night I drove 55 minutes for a birthday cake nobody else showed up for. I packed the folder into my bag like it was something fragile. Conference Room B at Capitol Title smelled like fresh coffee and printer toner. Patricia Lynn, the escrow officer, was arranging documents at the head of the table when Margaret and I walked in. She looked up, saw Margaret, and paused, half a second too long. I don't see your firm listed on this file. I represent the June Ellison Revocable Living Trust, Margaret said. We have documents relevant to this closing. The door opened behind us. My mother walked in first. Pearls and a smile already in place, like a hostess arriving at her own party. Brett followed, jaw tight, a leather folder under his arm. My father trailed behind them both, gray-faced, staring at the floor. And the realtor, Renee Cole, and finally a man in a navy suit, Marcus Tate, from Harborview Capital. Carol's smile dropped the instant she saw me. Maya, what are you doing here? Taking a seat, I said, and I sat down. Margaret laid 3 documents on the table, one at a time, squared like evidence. Certified copy of the trust deed, recorded 14 months ago. Durable power of attorney naming Maya as agent, also 14 months old. Notarized, currently in force. And a capacity evaluation from Dr. Patel, June's neurologist, dated the same week, confirming June fully understood what she was signing. She looked up. I also have Dr. Patel's evaluation from last week, confirming June currently lacks capacity, which means any document she signed after her decline, including the power of attorney your family is relying on, isn't legally valid. The room went very quiet. Patricia Lynn picked up the trust deed, read it, and compared it against her own file. She turned to Renee Cole. You told me this trust had been dissolved. Renee went pale. I was told. It was never dissolved, Margaret said. It's right there, recorded. Public record. Patricia set the papers down and said the only 5 words that mattered. I cannot close this transaction. You're going to destroy this family. Carol stood so fast her chair scraped the floor. This is ridiculous. Maya is a paralegal. She has no authority here. She's the trustee your mother-in-law chose, Margaret said evenly. In writing, while she had full legal capacity to choose, Brett's voice cracked. Raw in a way Carol's never had. I have a balloon payment due in 6 weeks. $740,000. If this falls through, I lose everything. That's not this office's concern, Patricia said. This is Gigi's house, I said, looking at my brother. Not yours to sell. You had her sign papers during a week she was hospitalized for confusion, Brett. You lied to a title company about a dissolved trust that was never dissolved. And you're telling me I'm the one destroying this family? Carol was crying now, loud and wet. The kind of crying I genuinely couldn't tell was real anymore. After everything I've done for this family. You don't get to decide what she's worth, I said quietly. My father hadn't said a word the entire time. He sat staring at his mother's signature on a 14-month-old document, doing the math in real time, understanding, maybe for the first time, that she'd looked at her own son, and decided he wouldn't be the one standing in this room when it counted. Thus sighed. Marcus Tate stood, closed his folder, and walked out without another word. Renee Cole gathered her things, avoiding everyone's eyes. Margaret spoke into what was left of the silence. An Adult Protective Services investigation is already active. Any further attempt to sell or encumber this property without the trustees with authorization will be treated as a legal matter. I stood, slid the folder back into my bag, and looked at my mother one last time. You'll regret this, she said. When Brett loses everything, and this family falls apart, you'll remember you did this. You'll remember I kept a promise, I said. That's all. I drove back to Sycamore Lane with the folder on the passenger seat, the same seat where I once set down a gas station bouquet on a night nobody else came. Gigi was asleep in her recliner, crossword open on her lap. I knelt beside her chair and tucked the quilt around her shoulders, It's done, Gigi. The house is safe. Her eyes opened, cloudy at first, then clearing. Just for a moment, like creek water settling. Did you keep the table? I laughed. The real kind. The kind that surprises you on its way out. I kept the table. Good girl, she whispered, and was asleep again before I could answer. Brett missed the balloon payment 8 weeks later, right on schedule. His company filed for bankruptcy that winter. He sold the truck. Last I heard, he was managing someone else's job sites for a third of what he used to make. My parents standing in Belmont didn't survive the gossip, either. Reputations erode slowly in small towns, but they erode. My mother stopped going to her book club. My father emailed me once, in the spring, 3 sentences long. I should have done more. I know that now. I'm sorry. I read it twice. I didn't answer. Some apologies only exist to prove the person finally understood, not to undo anything. Adult Protective Services substantiated the case. The court voided the second power of attorney and confirmed me as Gigi's permanent guardian and trustee. I deferred the bar exam. I moved into that guest room with the water stain shaped like Florida, and I became the person who made sure my grandmother ate dinner, took her medication, and sat on the porch in the afternoons when the light hit the hydrangeas just right. It wasn't the life I'd planned at 29. It was the right one anyway. One Tuesday last spring, I baked her a cake, vanilla, buttercream, nothing fancy, and set it on that scratched-up maple table. "Whose birthday?" she asked. "Nobody's. It's Tuesday. We're having cake because it's Tuesday." She took a bite, closed her eyes, and smiled. "This is my recipe," she said. "Don't change it." We ate in the kitchen light together, and I thought about everything that table had survived. 50 years of Thanksgivings, 1 attempted theft, and a granddaughter who almost didn't open a folder in time. A person's worth doesn't expire when their memory does. And sometimes the quietest person in the family is the only one still keeping watch. If this story reminded you to check on someone you love, do it today. And if you enjoy real-life family drama and emotional stories like this one, subscribe to Quiet Drama Stories. I'll see you in the next one.